This video is titled, Why Gen Z is Terrified of Intimacy. I don't know why, it just seems like it was going to be interesting.
Men in your 20s, avoid getting a girlfriend unless you meet a unicorn that alters your life.
Quickly, as a fine babe in Christ, why settle when it comes to men?
3 huge red flags to look out for on girls you never want to date.
Because I know some of you women out here have been making these men so spoiled.
Well, I think the problem right off the rip is the fact that everybody wants perfection. You know? Nobody's really willing to work with people because everybody has some kind of problem or baggage to a degree. And nobody wants to work through anything. Everybody wants perfection, like perfect. You cannot have a single issue wrong with you.
Here we are. 63% of men and 34% of women in the US between the ages of 18 to 29 report being single. Roughly 6 in 10 single adults say they are not looking for a relationship or dates, and an estimated 1 in 3 young adults living today will never get married. If you're in your teens or even your 30s, it probably seems obvious to you why this is the case. As women now collect nearly 60% of bachelor's degrees and the income gap narrows, they can support themselves much easier and have the opportunity to be more selective with the potential partners they choose.
True.
On top of that, dating apps, which are now the most common way young people find relationships, leave little room for anyone who doesn't know how to optimize their profile, even if they're attractive and confident in real life. And of course,
that's another thing too, man. We're trying to sell each other. That's another problem. That thing said, looking for long term, but open to short. Like that, everything's treated like an algorithm now. That's crazy.
A lot more of our time is now spent alone, which lowers the chances of us meeting someone we genuinely connect with. But those aren't the aspects I want to focus on today. Today, I want to talk about this underlying fear of being intimate that I've observed amongst a lot of Gen Z. Based on the general feelings of both the people I've talked to in real life and online, it's clear to me that Gen Z is terrified of getting close to someone and
terrified is an understatement.
Potentially getting hurt. So let's explore where that fear came from and how it's affecting everybody's ability to find a partner, because it might just be the most important factor we need to consider if we want to repair this worsening dating crisis. There are 2 archetypes we need to create and dissect if we want to get to the bottom of this: the irrationally fearful and the rationally fearful. The person who is irrationally fearful of dating has never been in a serious relationship before.
Facts.
They may have given their fair share of attempts in the dating scene and gotten close to an official relationship, but due to their infrequent, unsuccessful experiences, they've decided that pursuing this any further is too risky or not worth it. Conversely, the rationally fearful has a concrete reason for fearing intimacy. They've been in relationships in the past, opened up, and gotten their heart broken, whether that was through getting dumped, cheated on, or abused. Now, obviously, both of these archetypes exist to varying degrees in real life. You probably identify.
That's basically like people have gone through something and now they're scared to actually like have that happen again, so they're afraid to pursue anything. Which makes sense. I know a lot of people that have dealt with stuff like that before. That is something I think that kind of gets past. It's like you've been through a lot. Things are already weird in the scene anyway, and now you have to risk it like happening again. I get that.
With one of the 2, or maybe even both of them. But what's really changed are the narratives being fed to them and how that affects their ability to develop and find a relationship in the future. In the past, when either archetype was scared to put themselves out there and find a potential partner, one of 2 approaches would happen. The first, and probably more common, was that eventually they'd get peer pressured enough to do it even if they weren't really ready yet.
Yep.
Someone close to them, whether a friend or family member, would either force them to find a good partner or teach them how to maturely move through their fears and stop being so scared of whatever gender they were attracted to. Now, did this approach lead to a lot of poor marriages that probably should have never happened?
100%.
Yes. When it was more socially taboo to not be married by the time you reached your 30s, such as the baby boomer era, the divorce rates in America reached an all-time high. And from this perspective, the fact that there's less of a taboo around forcing yourself to be with someone who you might find out later is manipulative or abusive is a net positive. And this is one of the things that is actually good about the modern dating scene, is that people are really waiting to find the right person and to make sure they're mature enough to get into a relationship, to be able to work through it, and to get to the point where maybe they get married. And I think that's part of the reason why we're now seeing some of the lowest divorce rates we ever have. But still, even through that inherently broken approach, a lot of people found their person, a person they never would have found had they been given the opportunity to stay scared forever. And that's not me justifying the peer pressure approach. It's me stating the rare, unlikely outcome of it sometimes working because it will be relevant later in the video. The second approach one of the archetypes might have used was how they saw relationships play out around them in real life. Depending on how ideal those examples were and what the people closest to them that they trusted told them about how to find a relationship and treat their partner, they changed their beliefs about relationships and, as a result, changed themselves. And this led to many of them pursuing and creating a relationship they might not have otherwise. This approach also produced mixed results. If they grew up watching their parents in a really terrible relationship, or they just had friends who could get into relationships but treated their partners like trash and that gave them bad advice, then they could have found themselves in shitty relationships sometimes. But again,
that is so true. It's one of those product of your environment kind of things. And if you grow up watching nothing but chaos, you're going to be a very, very chaotic person, which is a little unfortunate, but that's what happens, man.
And pushing through those initial fears that every young person has when it comes to relationships, I believe was more common due to this approach. So in other words, no matter what approach was acted upon by the two archetypes, the driving influences almost always came from someone in real life who was already in a relationship. Those were the narratives they followed. Now, let's contrast that with today's youth. What each archetype is being fed is the same idea, but how it influences their pursuit of future relationships and their mindset toward relationships is slightly different.
The projection bubble?
With a single concept. The projection bubble augmentation.
Okay.
Sorry, I know you're probably thinking, what the hell does that even mean? And to that I say, I just wanted to make it sound mysterious and cool so you would feel compelled to keep listening. It will make more sense soon. But first I want to talk about today's sponsor, David. I usually find it very hard to stay
No disrespect to the sponsors over at David.
The most likely to create content centered around dating. Let me ask you this. What demographic is the most likely to create content centered around dating advice? And what demographic's dating advice is the most likely to get heard by the greatest amount of people? Well, unlike in the past, where the answer to that question usually was people who are already married or in relationships, the biggest influencers now are the influencers. And these influencers online usually have little to no dating experience, really terrible dating advice, or both.
A lot of you ask me how you can become more mysterious, so here's how. The easiest thing to do is to reduce exposure so she doesn't see you all the time. It's even better if you just had an amazing date and then you disappear for a while until she messages you.
The question you might be wondering—
that is a horrible idea. If you had a good connection with her and you stopped talking to her out of the blue, that doesn't make you look mysterious. Makes you look like a dumbass. You just look like a psychopath. That is some of the worst advice I have ever heard in my life.
Is why? Why is it that the low quality content from inexperienced influencers that only makes you more fearful and untrustworthy of the people you're attracted to is the content that is most popular? This is where the concept of projection bubbles augmenting comes into play. You see, whether we're consciously aware of it or not, all of us are committing confirmation bias every day of our lives.
100%.
This is when we subconsciously seek out information that favors our pre-existing beliefs or values while downplaying or dismissing any contradictory information. For example, let's say archetype 1 tries to ask a girl out and they get rejected. And because they don't have any positive role models in their life, that rejection forms the belief in their head that something is wrong with them and they are not worthy of being loved. Due to this, they might turn to social media and search, why do I keep getting rejected? And guess what the first video they decide to click on?
It's going to be some stupid alpha male video.
1% of men, you're going to get rejected and she's not going to respect you. It could have been the case that within this video, there might have been some genuinely good advice. Like taking care of yourself shows other people that you have respect for yourself and take life seriously, which makes you more desirable. But archetype 1 let that advice slip in one ear and out the other.
Well, yeah, because if they're desperate and they're looking for information on why they get rejected, they're not really looking at the true advice itself. They're just looking for an immediate answer to like whatever their situation is, you know?
Instead, they only focused on the words that confirmed how that rejection made them feel about themselves. It confirmed that they're not good enough to find a relationship. Now let's go over an example with archetype 2. Maybe archetype 2, after getting cheated on, goes to social media to try to find out why they got cheated on or how to get over it. The advice they listen to? You are what you attract. If you got cheated on, it's because you're not at the point in life yet where you can attract someone who doesn't cheat on you. AKA, you're not good enough. Or maybe they'll
that's a
just
terrible
rifle
piece of
through
advice.
stories of other people getting cheated on, further confirming their bias that most people aren't trustworthy. And as many of you already know, there are cheating stories aplenty on social media. Not only are we biased to seek out information that confirms what we already believe, but humans also tend to have a bias toward negative information.
Oh,
So when a cheating gets
100%.
posted, 9 times out of 10, more people are going to engage with it over a post of a happy couple.
Dude, that is an internet issue. That is an internet issue in a nutshell. People are so excited to be negative, but when it comes to something positive, it does not get the same gas ever. But when it comes to something negative, bro, people are on that, man. That is an internet issue, and like just in general. People don't gas positivity. They hype up the negative stuff. This happens all the time, man. That's a big issue with the internet. Nobody's gonna be like, oh, look at the happy, cute couple. Like, people like drama. That's the thing. Like, humans are a dramatic species. We like drama. We like chaos. We like seeing things in disarray because we want to figure out ways to, to give our opinions on why X thing went wrong or whatever, But we don't like the idea of finding a solution, People just like arguing. People like drama. They like debating. They like proving their points right. Somebody get cheated on. Oh, I could have seen that coming. Like, that's something that people will say, Why does the guy's mouth not follow his words? It could just be bad syncing.
For forcing it into even more people's algorithms. But here's where it gets even more interesting, because it turns out that the influencers peddling this garbage advice hold the same beliefs as one of the 2 archetypes, which is why they make content centered around this advice.
Yep.
In other words, they're just as fearful of intimacy as their consumers.
They're just as insecure.
So
Yep.
this is the projection bubble augmentation. Young, good-looking people projecting their own struggles they've had in dating are the ones making the most amount of low-quality relationships.
All of these guys look like they're insecure about something, by the way. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, it's as clear as day. All of these guys have never probably had good relationships with women. You can just tell.
Relationship advice on the internet, which the archetypes flock to since it confirms their pre-existing projections. And through this, both the creator and the consumers reinforce each other's behaviors through their engagement. When creators see that this type of content does well, they are more likely to make that content in the future, especially if there's tons of comments in those videos from the archetypes encouraging them that they're right, and that the same thing has happened to them. It's a symbiotic relationship where the creator doesn't know how to heal, but has confirmation from the archetypes that they should keep posting this low quality content and therefore not heal, which then leads the archetypes to not heal too and become ever more fearful of relationships.
Yep.
This bubble augments and augments until eventually it even starts reaching people teetering on the outskirts of the archetype, the ones who still have hope but need more guidance on how to improve. You might be able to relate to being on the outskirts here. Have you ever had trouble in a relationship and you initially thought that something must be wrong with you and you just need to improve and you hadn't yet given up on relationships? Maybe you thought to yourself, I know.
Does he have something in his nose? I can't stop looking at it now.
Oh, there's someone out there for me. I just need to keep going. But then you heard enough advice about how you need to have your whole life together before you start dating, or a bunch of horror stories about people getting abused and cheated on, and you became extremely averse to any sort of closeness between you and someone else. That's how dangerous these bubbles can be.
Yep, I
Perhaps
agree.
one of the most vivid examples of how dangerous this
I'm
can
gonna
be.
pause this really quick. That's actually such a good point. You could be teeter-tottering on the edge of it, and then you just start seeing more and more of this content because it's the most popular thing out there when it comes to this relationship stuff. It was good, bro. Your name is the same, by the way. You start seeing more and more of this kind of content because that's what's most popular and it gets pushed out to you. And you're gonna start thinking like, maybe I need to actually listen to it. Other people are listening to it.
Perhaps one of the most vivid examples of how dangerous this can be is seen in YouTuber The Wizard Liz. Liz is known for her content about building confidence, manifestation, and attracting your dream life, which has grown her channel to over 8 million subscribers. But she also
Jeez.
occasionally makes advice for women, specifically on how to attract a rich man who spoils you.
Also, if you have a man that's constantly showing off how much wealth he has to you, or how much he has asked him to transfer it to you.
I kind of consider this content like the red pill, but for women. They share a lot of the same internal values, like dating multiple people at once, trying to seem mysterious and get the person you're attracted to be competitive and try to work for you, but the end result is just slightly different. However, that's not even what I want to focus on as it pertains to...
What is this? This is why Gen Z is terrified of intimacy. I'm trying to understand this generation more and why they suck at dating. I'm not a part of this generation. I'm a millennial, man.
You're attracted to be competitive and try to work for you, but the end result is just slightly different. However, that's not even what I want to focus on as it pertains to this video. What I want to focus on is her recent marriage scandal. If you don't know about this, Liz was on a layover in Athens, and a former Fortnite content creator by the name of Landon MC forgot his bag where Liz was sitting, somehow in the same airport in Athens. If that coincidence...
You are not gay? What are you talking about? I have a whole wife. What? What's the question?
This wasn't weird enough. They ended up exchanging contact information. Then Landon goes on to tell her he feels like he manifested her, and within 36 hours of knowing her, tells her he loves her and he knows that he's going to marry her.
Who said I love you first?
Oh my god, I told this creature, what's a creature?
Creature. This thing over here.
I told this woman that I loved her within 36 hours of knowing her.
That's not a
First
good
off,
thing,
if
man.
Liz, who presents herself as this relationship expert, couldn't see the issues within all of that, then what does that say about the validity of
that's a
her
problem
advice?
right there.
But it gets worse.
I don't care what anybody says, bro. You cannot love somebody after knowing them for 36 hours. I don't care what kind of spiritual connection you think you have, what kind of mental lock it. No, you can't love somebody after knowing them for a day and a half. That's insane.
Within a year of them being married, Landon admits to have cheated on her after he already got her pregnant, and they end up getting divorced. Yeah, the whole story is pretty damn crazy.
What?
And the last video she posted is a Q&A with him where they're both giving some incredibly ironic advice.
It's not a good partnership if the person is going to choose someone else over you. Like that defeats the whole point. But forgiveness is a big thing. So if you have ever had a trust issue come up, you got to learn how to forgive and work through that. Otherwise,
What? Wait, so bro cheats on her. Bro cheats on her and talks about forgiveness. If you ever have a trust issue come up, you got to know about forgiveness. You got to learn how to get over it. What? That makes no sense. Yo, what's up, KK? How you doing with your big head? You have a friend? What do you mean? So wait a minute. So bro marries her, cheats on her. They have this. Wait, that is insane. Talking about somebody else talking about choosing your whoever you're dating choosing someone over you is crazy.
It's not a good partnership if the person is going to choose someone else over you. Like that defeats the whole point.
But he cheated on her. That is insane to say. Bro, what?
Forgiveness is a big thing. So if you have ever had a trust issue come up, you got to learn how to forgive and work through that. Otherwise, that'll just turn into crippling insecurity that you suffer with.
Depends what the trust issue was.
Now, I'm not bringing this up to say it's Liz's fault she got cheated on. Of course it...
I just got back to the crib. Oh yeah, you over there in LA living it up in the sun. You just got off work? I think it's crazy to tell people advice on trust issues or whatever, and you're the one that cheated on your wife, bro.
It's not. But if you claim
that's
to
insanity.
have the amount of relationship knowledge you do, knowledge that gets pushed out to millions of people, and the way that Landon was moving didn't raise your eyebrows, I'm not sure I can consider you qualified to give this type of advice. And yet,
she's just as much of a dummy as he is, bro. He's a piece of garbage for cheating on her, and she's a dummy for being a relationship expert and then doing a video with the guy that cheated on her after getting her pregnant. That is psychopath. That's insane. That's crazy. Over my dead body, would you ever see me on the internet standing beside the person who cheated on me? Bro, I'm hungry. Go eat something to eat, man. Go get something to eat.
These types of people are the exact types of people that many young people are now listening
and people
to
will
and
look
taking
up
in
to
their
this
words as gospel. The way her audience responded to this is extremely telling of the relationship they had with the wizard Liz and with themselves. You give an ugly guy a chance, he thinks he rules the world. Billie Eilish. You made him special, Liz. Now he's nothing but an average guy. Some people want to be close to you, to copy your magic. Liz. Notice how she is looking at him lovingly, and he is looking at the camera / himself. Basically, none of the top comments are criticizing Liz on her choice to say yes to a guy who said he loves her 36 hours after meeting her.
Now, I gotta admit, she's brain dead for that, too. They're both morons. I'm not gonna lie. Both of these people are crazy. You say yes to a marriage to a person that said they loved you after knowing you for 36 hours? And you talk about relationships and red flags? Bro, come on, man. Come on, man. Common sense, lady. Like, I'm not saying like she's necessarily in the wrong for the situation, but at the same time, you gotta admit it's insane. You gotta admit that's insane. You're stupid enough to marry a person that said they loved you after knowing you for a day and a half. I'm telling you right now, that was all that's like 30 red flags. That's 36 red flags, one for every hour.
They idolize Liz. And since they idolize her, this creates another dangerous outcome when influencers go through heartbreak. The idolizers and archetype followers start to think, if this person can't find love, then there's absolutely no chance I will. And all of this gender is disgusting.
My fucking God, I'm literally shaking. Like, fuck men at this point. Literally.
This is the part that's such a big problem, man. This is a really big problem. People idolize these people. These are just normal people with a platform. They're not anything special. They just have a following. And people think these people are magical. If you have to go on the internet like this lady right here and do a rant for an entirely different person getting cheated on, a person you don't know, you're part of the problem too, man. Like, come on. People treat these kind of like people with big platforms as like they're gods or something, you know? I've always said that I want people to, you know, I want to grow big and become a successful creator, but I don't want people to idolize me to this degree. I blame the parents, not facts. That's facts. I don't know what you're talking about this is time, but we're on a different subject right now. Not Messi's, wait, Messi won the 2022 World Cup. It doesn't matter how bad he did. It doesn't even matter. But yeah, this is a problem. People idolize these guys. They go on the internet to defend these people. Yeah, that's facts. That's facts. They weren't raised with their parents, and now they look up to any and everyone they can. That's facts. These people don't know. These kids don't understand that these people, at the end of the day, are just people. You know, they treat them like they're above everything else, and that's such a problem, man. Like to this day, I've had my opinions on, we're not talking any of that. To this day, I have never once gone on the internet and ran it in defense of a big creator, except maybe Corey Kenshin. Because Corey Kenshin, he got, they dragged that man through the mud in 24 hours for no reason. That was the first time in a while I'm like, hold on, man, like, what are we doing here? But yeah, this is a problem with this younger audience, man.
Fuck men. Men literally have no bounds.
Iran or Israel, brother, keep anything related to that out of my chat. That's all I'm gonna say.
Really, this is just another deceptive way for these types of people to live in fear of being in a relationship. There's this really good take from the creator Katrina Liu, who explains this concept well in her video about Liz.
People are idolizing Liz and saying things like, oh my god, she's such a goddess, she seems to have it all, so if a woman like her gets cheated on, it means that I'm probably doomed, that I've lost hope in love, and men will never be loyal to me. Here is the thing. Idolization is an ego trick. It is a way we try to soothe our own fear, our own imperfections, by placing someone else on a pedestal. Because if they seem too perfect, then you would think that perfection is possible. If they fall, then we get to give up too. But that is not growth, that is escapism.
Basically, Liz's failed relationship was the perfect confirmation bias that archetypes 1 and 2 used to fuel their already low self-worth. They convinced themselves that because these people have had some success with dating or share a relatable trauma from their past and carry themselves with such confidence, they must be the version of themselves they could become if only they were as smart or
This dude looks terrified to look her in the eye, bro. I can say this as a man. If you are absolutely not staring at her, you know you're in the wrong. I know this. I've done this before. I've made this face. Not for anything this severe, but if you're trying not to look your lady in the eye or the lady you were with previously, you know you're in the wrong, bro.
assured as they are.
All the time.
What really happened here isn't that the idolizers are mourning Liz's relationship. They are mourning their own hope and turning someone else's failure into evidence that they should stop trying in order to protect themselves. This sort of idolization and personableness with influencers and our ability to see all the goings on of so many relationships online of random people is not something that has ever existed at the scale it does now. Now we're microanalyzing anything someone does and comparing it to what that influencer tells us and interpreting it as a red flag, when really it...
Three early red flags in women. Passive jokes. See, I'm gonna say this too. People are hypersensitive now. You can't say anything. You can't do anything. You can't crack a funny, no dark humor. Everybody takes everything so serious. Can't beat your children no more. This is what you get. Jesus. I don't know if that'll solve it. That kind of also causes a lot of relationship issues, but that was funny.
Might just be some natural flaw every human has. We're promoting reality TV shows where a bunch of people are just flipping through options and treating other humans as replaceable
but we've always done this, to be fair.
To find a partner. We're saying, I'm working on myself, when really that's just a cover-up for the debilitating loneliness we feel. We're told to protect our peace, when really we're desperate for attention, but afraid of what happens when someone...
I am physically cringing watching this guy do this, bro. Anytime somebody says protect your peace and they just vomit in their car for a YouTube video, bro. I just makes me cringe.
What happens when someone gets too close again. And we deliberately listen to the red pill guru's advice about never being too needy, staying silent, and choosing emotionally unavailable people over the grounded relationship advice of a married person as a way to mask our fear of intimacy. It's projections, reinforcing projections, reinforcing projections. And anyone who has been even minimally hurt and hasn't been taught how to properly heal is absolutely terrified of becoming the next relationship horror story. And I get it, trust me, I've been there. I've had people do things to me that would have made more sense in a dramatic romance novel than in real life. Things I could have never fathomed. It's so easy to escape that pain through confirming stories online about how men or women are naturally unloyal and manipulative, or to
it's like people don't know how to just let go sometimes, you know what I'm saying? Like we gotta have a solution to everything. When hurt, growth, or, you know, like you said, Keiki, like, there's nothing wrong with getting hurt. It's how you learn and grow. That's a part of life, man. You're going to get your feelings hurt all the time. But if your first thing to do is run to the internet and just basically confirm you're either right or you're not good enough, like one of those two options, you're never going to grow from it, man. You're going to take that advice to heart and never actually change for the better. We've all been hurt. I've been hurt before. I made some stupid decisions when I was a teenager when it came to dating, and I, to this day, am still mildly cringe and scarred about some of the decisions I made when I was younger. Nothing crazy, but I feel like when I was younger, I could have handled certain relationship situations better. But that was, you know, 15, 16, 17, so it's whatever, right? But we all go through things, do things, say things we don't mean by accident, or, you know, things that change the dynamic in a relationship. We're supposed to grow from it, man. But if you just run to the internet and are looking for advice from all of these people that have never grown to be better people either. They worship the not me though, man. Not me though. A man knows it's better than to hurt me. They worship the ground I walk on. Hey, if my friend Killswitch proved anything, he proved that you're right about that. That brother was starving. I don't know what he's been up to these last couple of years, but that brother was starving. He didn't even see your face. He just heard your voice. So you might be onto something.
Push anyone away in the future that gets close to you, or to give up on the idea of relationships completely. But you have to understand that the healing you're looking for is in the work you're avoiding. So what does the proper healing look like? And how do you escape the trap of falling into a projection bubble augmentation? Well, first, most obviously, you should always be skeptical of a young person giving relationship advice on the internet who
That's
doesn't
facts.
have a successful relationship
That's
track
facts.
record. And I swear that's not me. I swear I have 10 years of
If you are single, giving advice to other people about how to have a successful relationship, I mean, the joke writes itself. Come on, man.
relationship experience, and now I'm married, but you can still be a little skeptical of my advice, of course. If you find yourself watching this type of content, ask yourself, why am I so attracted to this type of content? Do I really believe what this person is saying, or do I want to believe it because it confirms
trying to
my
forget he exists?
pre-existing beliefs? The next thing, which is the most crucial to understand, is that your mind is purposefully distorting your reality in order to keep you safe from a non-existent threat. When an
Wait, whoa. I've been single for years and I give you excellent advice. Yeah, but you don't give egotistical advice, you know? You keep it real regardless. If you think somebody's being stupid, Kay, you will tell them, hey, you know, I love you. This is exactly how you would say it. Hey, so, you know, I love you and all, but you're being a dumbass. That's exactly what you would say. That's something 110% you would say just like that. Like, the thing is, you don't give fake advice. You don't pick sides. You call it out as you see it, which is different from just giving like a blanketed piece of advice, you know? You don't go on the internet making a relationship advice for everybody. You give it on the case by case basis, you know? That's why I've always liked talking to you, because you keep it real. Even if you don't play Warzone with me anymore, but it is what it is, right? I'm just playing, but yeah, no, I like the way you give advice because you keep it real. You don't sugarcoat anything, and you call it as you see it. And I think that's respectable. Or you hate Warzone? I love Warzone on a good day.
intense negative experience, like getting rejected enough times, getting cheated on, abused, or manipulated, happens, and we don't yet possess the ability to process that moment and heal from it, or the experience is just too overwhelming for our mind and body to find any practical escape, that experience likely turns into trauma and gets stored in our body.
Yo, shout out Robin
experience
Williams.
leaves behind a deep imprint of trauma, then almost any time you are reminded of the awful relationship experience, or you're in some sort of environment that feels like that experience, your nervous system will go into fight, flight, or fawn mode. Common physiological sensations of this include a racing heart, dilated pupils, sweaty palms, and fast, shallow breathing.
Yo,
In other
what is
words,
happening in
your
that
body
clip?
is reliving the threat from the past that isn't even there anymore. And when you need a sort of escape from those feelings, you will unconsciously search for proof. Proof that you have a right to be afraid, which usually comes in the form of online anecdotes from other influencers projecting their traumas onto their audiences. But those responses, while completely understandable, don't have to define you forever.
Exactly.
Healing begins when you notice those reactions showing up and gently interrupting them. And that means doing the thing that you've been avoiding all along. Opening yourself up to intimacy by getting vulnerable once again. Just
You know, another thing too is I only offer advice when asked of me, and even then I'd be like, are you sure you want to hear this? I know that's exactly how you say it. But I do love talking about relationships with people who have a fully functioning brain. My thing is, when it comes to a lot of these people, I had a point I was gonna make. Crap, what was it? It was shoot, wait, there's something he said that gave me a point.
completely understandable. Don't have to define you forever.
Oh, people like to play the victim, and that's not just with relationships, but that's with anything in life, right? People play the victim hard when they feel like they've been done wrong in any capacity. Somebody could have made, you know, they could have said something incorrectly to you, and they're going to feel like they just had the worst day of their life, right? People don't understand how to take things on the chin and keep, people lack accountability. People don't know how to take things on the chin and keep it pushing, man. You know? They think everything in the world is perfect and they're owed something. That's not always the case. I say that with everybody, with every culture, with every race. There's always people that want to really just feel like they're owed something. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes, if you're being stupid, I mean, you got to understand you're being stupid. You know? Well, people want to feel special. You know, like the entire world like focuses around them and their issues. All this stuff happens to everybody. You know? People lack crazy accountability. People lack crazy accountability.
Healing begins when you notice those reactions showing up and gently interrupting them. and that means doing the thing that you've been avoiding all along, opening yourself up to intimacy by getting vulnerable once again. Just start with something small. That might mean opening up slightly more in a conversation and seeing that it goes well, or noticing when you want to pull away from someone kind and staying present just a little longer. When you start to get a bit more comfortable with those small risks and you build that proof because people are responding positively to those actions, this sends a message to your mind and body that trust can be rebuilt. Now, that's not to say you should force yourself into being vulnerable with just anybody, but when the right people come along, you can learn to meet them and open up to them without carrying every wound from the past into the room. And slowly, if you do this enough, your internal world will start to shift. You'll realize that being vulnerable doesn't have to be terrifying. It will put you at risk of being judged or ridiculed or rejected, yes, that's an inescapable fact. But you'll be willing to take those risks again with confidence, knowing that you can handle the price you pay, which is unavoidable, for finding true, lasting relationships that deepen over time.
You know what it is too? People go into relationships with an opinion, like right out the gate. They don't even know the person. They go right into these relationships, interacting with other people based off of things they've heard on the internet and from other folks. They go into these situations with an opinion already formed. And that's a lot of things, you know? There's a reason why a lot of people can't have good communication about things, whether it's religion, politics, relationships. People go into conversations with a fully developed opinion before they've even spoken to a person, or fully gotten to know somebody, or fully heard somebody's like side on something. Now, it's not always one-to-one like that, obviously. It's never one-to-one like that. But that's a problem that a lot of people have. They go into situations and discussions and whatever with a fully developed opinion before they've heard the person even speak or do anything or whatever. They already know what they dislike. I've gone on dates where a man asked me a question and told me what he thought my answer was, and I was like, question marks? Yeah, like what? Like, brother, like people don't want to get to know people. They want to know if they're going to fit their exact criteria on why they should dislike them. They don't want to know if they're going to fit the criteria of why they should like them. They're going to only pay attention to the things that meet their criteria of, should I dislike this person? And now, having standards is fully acceptable. I think that's fine. But people take it to the extreme. And that's, again, with anything, with like politics, religion, relationships. People do that everywhere, bro. People do that everywhere. They have an opinion fully formed. They don't want to hear different sides of anything. And they go into relationships looking for something to dislike. I saw a TikTok recently that said people are like real big haters, like more than ever before. You go on Twitter, people are hating on everything. There was like that one girl who said she made a Twitter post about how she likes to make her husband, or it was her boyfriend, coffee and breakfast or whatever before he goes to work. And people were hating on her. She's like, or people were like, why are you doing wife duties for a guy that's not your husband? I'm like, what the my girl can't make me a cup of coffee and breakfast? I gotta spend 20K on a ring for a little breakfast? My fault. But you know, but no, for real, like people take stuff so serious. They think everything has to be wrong, you know? There absolutely has to be perfection with everything. Like poor Nara Smith just likes to cook for a man and people hate her for it. It's crazy. It's so crazy. You literally can't do anything for fun or love, or you can't just love the person you're doing something for. You have to meet a criteria. And that's a problem. It's an algorithm. Everything's an algorithm now. Even relationships. Relationships are algorithms. You're expecting just to hit the right thing instead of clicking on you're only expecting to watch that video with 130,000 views versus watching that video with 10 views. That's relationships. Like people don't want to watch the smaller thing. They want to watch the bigger thing and hope it like hits their dopamine receptors in the correct way. Like people are eager to be upset about something. And that's the craziest thing to me, man. Can't just be happy. We have to be upset about it. Oh, these people are happy and this woman likes doing things for a dude? What? But guys are terrible. Men are terrible. Clearly every man should be terrible, just like I've been told and how I tell people. And the other way, same way, the other way around. All women are cheaters and gold diggers. What do you mean your man? What do you mean? Like, it's a problem that I like to buy my wife nice things periodically. She's a gold digger? Brother, she ain't a gold digger. She makes more money than I do. I'm just being nice today. You feel me? Like, people are crazy, man. You know, people take stuff so serious. But that's the problem. People don't go outside. That's the other big issue. People do not, for some reason, go outside. They don't like to go outside and interact with other people. That's too scary. The internet told them that's too scary. The internet tells you, you know, you shouldn't just talk to strangers or whatever. You need to just mind your own business, interacting with people. It's creepy now, you know? Like, I can't walk up to a girl and talk to her without it being creepy. Granted, there's a lot of good reasoning for that because some guys have done some really creepy things. I'm not denying that, right? But people have no social skills anymore. People are afraid of everything. People just live on the internet and just be negative all the time. Like, it's crazy, bro. When I go outside, I talk to strangers. I'll say hi to an old lady, or if a woman compliments me, like, I'm not gonna tweak and say, "Don't speak to me, I have a wife." You can have some human decency, you know. I'll say, "Thank you, I appreciate that. You look nice today too," and keep it pushing. You know, I've had women call me attractive when I'm out in the streets, but instead of either A, cheating, or B, getting upset at the person, I just appreciate the compliment and keep it pushing, man. You know, people don't know how to do that. Like, one of my best friends is a woman. I compliment her all the time, but it's platonic. It ain't nothing weird. You know? People don't know how to have good interactions with other people without making it something extreme or making sure it hits a criteria. I've been yapping for like 4 minutes. Let's keep the video going.
Or take the words of any influencer's relationship advice or any story you see online of someone getting hurt in a relationship as proof that you should give up completely. That's the unavoidable risk of opening yourself up to finding love. Relationships can and will get very messy, especially at the start when you haven't yet learned all the differences between you and your partner's beliefs and lifestyles. But do not panic here. Do not label every single difference as a red flag.
Yep.
If these differences are true to who the person is, and you know you'd still love them for it, or you can communicate through that difference and express how it makes you feel and how you can work through it, then you've found someone truly special. What I fear most is that more and more young people will lose this ability to work through the inevitable differences or disagreements as they continue to live in fear of the risks that come with
that. Is so true.
And if that is you, you need to understand this. You are not broken. Your body is just working the way it's designed to seek out information that confirms what you think you already know and keep you safe. But you can tinker that design to become more resilient to rejection and heartbreak, and more confident in yourself, despite the inevitable pains that will come from experiencing life to its fullest without fear. And it starts when you stop thinking all the solutions to those problems are going to come from a random 20.
This guy's eyes are beautiful. You know, I wasn't really paying attention, but he is just staring right into our soul.
25-year-old online who was in one serious relationship for a few months.
KK, you're locked in. Let's see.
Would love to hear your thoughts about this video or how you've worked through past relationship traumas or experiences in the comments, because I'm no expert or no guru. I could use some help as well. And if you like these sort of video essay videos where I talk about modern issues.
The part where he talked about having differences is not a red flag. He's so right. He's right about that, man. You're going to have differences with anybody, somebody you meet on the street, on the internet, and in relationships. Everything is not going to be 110% the same. If you expect somebody to meet exactly everything you like or do or view things, it ain't going to work. It's never going to work, you know? Now, there's certain things you got to put up with. If you generally think that you won't be compatible with somebody, then keep it pushing, right? But not everything is bad. She likes apples, I like oranges. Oh, okay. You know, people, like I said, people are just quick to be hostile, man.
And usually give a solution, how we can fix things, make things better at the end of those videos. Then you can check out this playlist right here. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.
That was a good video. That was a very, 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 very good video. That was a really, really, really good video, man. You got to be vulnerable in relationships, man, if you want it to succeed. Leave a like on that, man. Yo, Cole Hastings is really good content. It isn't just relationship stuff, but he just has really good videos that just talk about everything, right? Good stuff over here, man.